Science you can try at home.
This next experiment is very simple to do. All you need is a few things. I've got this big jar which is actually a flower vase, and this metal ruler. It doesn't have to be metal. Wooden ones tend to soak up the water though. So also for the purposes of this, I want to prove that there's no trickery going on. This is a steel ruler. You can't bend it that way at all. There's no tricks here. It is a little bit flexible that way, but not much. A plastic ruler would do the trick just as well. Now what I want you to look at very closely, look at the jar that we've put some water in. When I put my steel ruler in, it looks a bit different. What's going on there? It almost looks like it's split in half. I hold it there, and even there it looks like the ruler is thicker in the water than it is out. It isn't though. It's exactly the same ruler, there's no tricks. So what's happening? Have a bit of a closer look at that. Perfectly straight ruler. Almost looks like two separate rulers in there at the moment. See if we can come down a bit lower. Handheld this time, sorry about the shaking. In fact, any object you care to choose, so long as it is okay to go in the water, will give this appearance of changing quite a lot. You can see here the pen looks quite a bit thicker. We'll change angles again. Well, from here it appears to bend. And if you look down at the surface of the water, it looks very much like the pen is bent right in half. Obviously it isn't. I take it out, it's perfectly fine. In there it looks bent. Let's see if we can get a close-up. Fascinating. What's that all about? Well, while we've got this jar set up, we'll see what other things we can notice about it. So have a look at this bit of paper. I've drawn on it, it says this way. There's an arrow, there's no tricks, it's just an ordinary piece of paper. All I've done is drawn an arrow on it. What happens if we look at it through the water? Now, I've just put it behind here. Have a look at what the arrow is doing now. It's back to front. It's pointing in completely the other way. Now there's no tricks here. If I pull this piece of paper out, you can see it's exactly the same piece of paper. What on earth is going on? Why is it back to front? Is it something to do with the glass? Is the glass acting like a lens? Well, we can check that. Here's the same bit of paper. We put it behind the glass. No, it's still pointing the same way. Come down behind the water. It's pointing the other way. Does look very much like a lens. So what's happening? Here's some oil and water that I had left over from another experiment that we did earlier on. Let's see what happens if we put it into the oil and water. Interesting. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit on there. There's three different things going on, isn't there? There's the pen that we can see in the air, there's the pen we can see through the oil, and the pen we can see in the coloured water at the bottom. other ways to bend light with water. Well, actually, yes, there is. What I've got here is just an ordinary wine glass, and put some water in it, and I want to see if I can use it as a bit of a lens. So you can see here we've got that backwards thing happening there, but what happens if I get the lens of the camera, of the phone camera, whatever you want to call it, closer? Can I get interesting effects by using the water inside the glass as a lens? And you can see it doesn't work for that far away stuff very well, but this close-up stuff, I get this lovely sort of very soft focus thing going here. And if I bring this, in this case the object is my hand, closer, you can see it can start to focus a little bit, and it has the effect of magnifying it. Works like a magnifying glass. We'll see if I can give you an example here. So here's a nice red pencil. Put it in the sunshine so you can see it. And when we shift this in front of here, we'll get a slightly magnified view of it. It's not 100% clear because it's distorting it slightly, but you get the idea. Makes some pretty interesting photography. So that's something you can experiment with home. Just check that it's okay to use your mum or dad's phone to do it, but you can get some really interesting weird effects going on there. Okay guys, as usual, experiment, have fun, see what happens. So what's happening inside the glass of water that's making us see a pencil come in two halves? It looks like it's split or bent. Well, when we put our pencil into the water, obviously it doesn't change. The pencil stays the same, but the way that we see the light that comes off it changes as it passes through the water. Now, the water has a different refractive index, beg your pardon, and what all that means is that the light passes through the water slightly more slowly than it passes through the air. It's thicker. Makes sense when you think about it. And the effect of that is that the light comes out at a slightly different angle. So when we look at a pencil that's half in and half out of the water, the half that's out we see normally. The half that's in appears to be bent because the light has come out at a different speed and appears to be in a different place than you'd expect it to. So the object obviously doesn't change, but the way we see it, the way that the light comes to us through the water, does change. Different things have different refractive indexes. Water has one, and we use the fact that glass has a different refractive index, it's hard to say obviously, to make things like lenses. I'll see if I can show you a lens. Here's an old lens that may have come off a projector or some other kind of device like that. And it's a lovely example because you can see the curve in the glass. If you can look at it there as I move it around, the glass has been curved into a kind of, if you looked at it side on, it would look kind of like that on the inside, and it's designed so that it will focus the light that comes to it. So when the light comes in, it uses the fact that light bends slightly in the glass to focus it at a certain point, and that has the effect in this case of magnifying. So if I was to bring that over there, it would make the thing that you're looking at bigger. Lenses can be bent in different ways to do different jobs. This is a camera lens, and you can see that the glass is curved a bit like this one here, but it also has other elements. There's other bits of glass at the back too, and you can see sort of there's probably 5 or 6 bits of glass in this fancy lens, and they are deliberately designed to focus at a certain point on the camera's film plane. So we can make water do lensing too, and it's much the same effect, it's just not quite as clear. This lens glass is highly polished and very, very clear, so you can see you get a beautiful image when you look through it. Anyway, at home you can try making a lens with a glass. You can try bending your ruler in a glass as well, and have a bit of fun with refraction. Let's see what happens if we put it into the oil and water.